This is the Ripjaws SV710 Virtual 7.1 surround sound gaming headset made by G.SKILL. It's one of the two headsets of the G.SKILL lineup, being the more affordable and less feature-packed version of its bigger brother, the SR910. But the big question is it worth it? It has an average price of around $60 to $85 depending on which retailer you choose, while the SR910 can cost about $80 to $160. And by the way, hashtag not sponsored. I bought these headphones on my own. G.SKILL really probably doesn't even know who I am. Anyways, I purchased this set of headphones because for the quality, it offered a pretty decent value. My main motivation came from ordering an HTC Vive and not having a good set of headphones to use with it whenever it decides to show up. The SV710 has two main drivers, and therefore the surround sound it has is only simulated. And while a more expensive, true surround sound headset might offer better surround sound performance, I will primarily be using this to consume stereo or mono content. And because of this, I chose something with larger drivers for a deeper, more robust experience. Built into the SV710 comes a retractable noise-canceling microphone, and as you can tell, the technology used for this microphone was directly stolen from something out of the 90s. With very little depth and clarity, I can only see the usefulness for this microphone being limited to a few online games where it might not really matter if somebody can understand you. However, it does retract into the headset enough that if you don't want to use it, it will be out of the way completely. My only hope is that when I do start making VR content, I can find a good solution for recording audio without having to rely on this. As for the cans, well, they are big enough to cover my ears completely, and the seal is airtight enough that when I put them on or adjust them later, I can hear the crackling from the speaker from the change of air pressure. Now, I'm not saying that this is a good or a bad thing, I'm just kind of making an observation. The leatherette ear cups provide a great amount of cushion and noise isolation while being very comfortable to wear. However, because I'm not really used to wearing headphones for any extended amount of time, the heat buildup from doing so does start to cause discomfort for me after about 20 minutes. But as long as I ignore it long enough, I do start to forget about it. On the outside of the cans, you see a semi-clear smoky plastic with a visible speaker lit up by red LEDs. It's not terribly bright, but it is enough to give it a cool effect while lighting up the G.SKILL logo. I actually completely like this whole design, with it being all black and having only red LEDs to light it up. I think it gives it a great look without being too loud. You can even see the lights a little bit from the inside of the cans, but I mean, it's not like you're going to be looking inside there very often. The story of the good design though changes completely when you look at the top of the headset. While I don't have an issue with the padded support for your head, I do have an issue with the absurdly large handlebar located on top of it. I myself have a fairly large head, so I can understand if a company wants to design a product to fit a wide variety of people. But even on me, the headset looks goofy and awkward. I feel like they could have made this at least, I don't know, half an inch smaller or more to make it look better. The padded support does seem to be high quality and provides just enough resistance to keep everything in place. It also has enough padding to be worn comfortably for a long time without any issues. Placement on the ears feels almost perfect thanks to the mobility of the cans. Both sides can rotate back and forth to a certain degree, but they also tilt just a little to make sure they sit correctly on your head. So when you combine the tilt, rotate, and the padded support at the top, you get a headset that's ready for long-term gaming or media consumption without any discomfort. Being a USB device, this can be plugged into just about any computer and instantly be recognized without any setup needed to play audio. However, in my experience, the quality of playback is dramatically increased after installing the G.SKILL Ripjaws software. The software allows you to control many aspects of the headset sound through something that, well, honestly kind of looks like an old cheesy Winamp skin. Aesthetics aside though, you can change the sound options from virtual surround sound to stereo or even Dolby Pro Logic. Along with those options, you can also control an equalizer and pick up from a variety of different sound presets from these drop-down menus. This is something that I think that you could really spend a lot of time on because I didn't find any preset that immediately fit my preferences. And the differences between watching a movie and listening to music really is night and day. Also, as a side note, I found that the higher frequencies tend to be a little bit more intense than I was used to or expecting, so I usually end up turning those down just a little bit on, well, almost everything. For music, the SV710, well, it sounds pretty good. After finding the right configuration, I actually found that the virtual surround sound option sounded better to me because it gave me a better sense of depth. It allowed me to become more immersed in the listening experience and gave me a pretty good level of bass while doing it. Gaming and watching movies share a similar quality experience in virtual surround, with the only difference from music being that you might need to turn the higher frequencies back up. And while music can be tolerated through the Dolby Pro Logic option, movies and games both sound terribly flat and hollow. In reality, I have yet to find a good reason to use the Dolby option at all. Sometimes I use stereo, but for the most part, the virtual surround sound option is my go-to selection. So although these won't actually give you any true sense of surround sound, they still sound pretty good for the price. I could wish for maybe a little bit more bass, but I can say that it handles what it does very well. With some music, it seems to be able to turn it up while controlling the bass to avoid any kind of distortion. Even though this is not exactly consistent throughout all music, it still helps when it can. The last feature to talk about here is the basic volume control attached to the wire. You can use it to turn the volume up or down or mute it completely with the button on the side. Strangely enough, G.SKILL made the light blue rather than red, but it does alternate from blue to red when you have it muted. I almost feel like they could have reversed this by making it red all the time and only alternate to blue while muted, but I mean, really, who cares? So would I recommend this to anybody who's looking for a gaming headset? Well, honestly, I'm kind of on the fence with this. You see, on one side, the audio sounds pretty good for the price, and the software gives you a lot of options for control. On the other hand, though, the mic is absolutely terrible for today's standards. It will definitely get the job done if the people you're talking to don't always have to understand you, usually. But it's bad enough that I couldn't even consider it as a backup microphone for things like Skype calls or basic voiceovers for videos. Not that I'm expecting it to be on a production level or anything, I'm just saying that in my opinion, the mic is basically worthless to me. So if you want a gaming headset and don't rely on a heavy amount of talking, then for $60 that I paid for it on Newegg, it might be worth it. Just know what you're getting into before you make your purchase. Okay, that's it for today, folks. Follow me on Twitter @_BiteMyBits. Like and subscribe below, and thank you for watching.